Hi lovelies, welcome back again. In this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to sew this pants that I have on right here. In the last tutorial we drafted out the pattern for this trouser. As you can see, it has a side pocket, a band and a zipper fly. So if you're here to watch that, I'll be leaving the link in the description box. Please do well to check it out. This sewing tutorial is going to be as informative, straightforward and detailed as possible, so stay tuned and watch to the end. Please give this video a thumbs up and please, I'm begging you, subscribe to my channel. So without wasting much time, let's head straight to the work tape. I've gone ahead to use the pattern that we drafted out in the last tutorial to cut out on my actual fabric. For the front piece, I cut out 2 pieces, ensuring that I cut right sides facing each other. For the back piece, I also cut out 2 pieces with right sides facing each other as well. I also cut 2 pieces for both sides of my pocket, and I went ahead to add my 1/2 inch sewing allowance all around except the waist, the curve right here and the folded parts, because we already added that while drafting. I also cut out my fly. I went ahead to iron hairstay on it. I cut out just 1 piece for this, and for the shield I went ahead to cut it on fold. So in the previous tutorial, while drafting the shield, I actually added 1/2 inch sewing allowance along this part, which I've cut on fold right now. So you can just cut away that part, just cut away 1/2 inch from the side of the shield, because since it is cut on fold, we will not be needing that 1/2 inch anymore. I also went ahead to cut the waistband, as you can see, and I went ahead and folded one part with 1/2 inch, as you can see. And now we'll go straight to working on our fabric. So I'll just go ahead and place my remaining patterns aside, and I'll be working on the front piece first. This is a zip I'll be using. I'll just go ahead and remove my pattern. I'll be indicating which sides are the wrong and the right sides. This is me marking on my wrong side of the fabric, and then I will just take this to my machine and show you the rest. So guys, first things first, you have to go ahead and weave your edges. That is the crotch curve. You are going to weave it nicely so to have a professional finishing. So like I said, this is the right size of my front pieces. I'm going to place them together, right sides facing each other. After doing that, I'm going to measure down 7 inches from this waist point. Measure down 7 inches and then I'll make a point. Okay, and then I'll be sewing from this point we've made here down to the end of our crotch curve. I'm using 1/2 inch to hold this down. So after sewing, this is what it looks like. This is the right side of my fabric. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to work on this flap. So right now I'll be using my shield and my zipper. You can see I went ahead to weave it all around except the waist. Okay, so what I'm going to do is this point here, the point where we marked and started sewing, that is here. I'm going to make a notch, just a little bit of a notch, about 1/2 inch or even less. Okay, don't cut through your seam, just a little notch. Okay, so this is the right side of my fabric. So the flap is going to be on the left side of my trouser. That is, as it's facing me, it's going to be on the left side, but while putting it on, it's going to be on the right side. I hope you understand. But as I'm sewing, it's going to be on this left side of my trouser pattern. So I'm going to take the zipper and put it on top of it like this, aligning the edges, as you can see, like this. And then I'm going to take my side of the flap, which is this side, and I'm going to be folding it by 1/2 inch. Okay, like this. And then I'm going to align this point to the side of my zip like this. Hope you understand what I'm trying to do. Okay, let's go over it again. So I'm going to take my zipper and align it on my shield like this. Okay, And then I'm going to fold this part here, this side of the trouser. I'm going to fold it by half an inch inwards like this. You see, so because of the notch we've made here, it's making it easy to fold in. So after folding in like this, not too much, just half an inch like you can see me do here, I'm going to be aligning it to this side of my shield and zipper, just like this. So I'll be pinning this down so that it helps stay in place. Just take your time to do this. So after pinning down, this is what it looks like. I also pushed my fly backwards like this. You can see how it looks. Now what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to slowly remove my pins and then sew across this point which we have pinned. After doing that, this is what we have. This is what it looks like. Okay, and this is what the back also looks like so far. And then I'm going to bring over my zipper fly. Look at it. I'm going to be placing it right sides facing each other. So on this side here where I've not sewn anything, I'm going to place it like this, aligning these edges, and I'm going to be sewing with half inch down to meet this point which we have notched here. So as you can see, I stopped directly where this notch is. So turning my fabric over to the right side, this is what it looks like. I'm just basically going to push everything backwards. But before I do that, I'm going to top stitch this point. That's, I'm going to push the seam allowance to the fly and I'm going to top stitch on it so that it lays down nicely behind. After doing that, this is what it looks like. So like I said, I'm going to push everything inside like this. Okay, so you can see our fly is already coming to shape. See, so this is what it's supposed to look like when I'm done. So now basically I'm just going to pin this down. Okay, making sure everything sits properly, and I'm going to be pinning down from this waistline. I like to always pin when I'm sewing my flap because it helps it to sit nicely, you get. So after pinning down, this is what it looks like. Okay, so now I'm going to turn over to the wrong side. This is what the wrong side looks like. I'm going to open this up. This is our shield and this is the zip. The zip is in between the shield and the fly. And then I'm going to be sewing the other side of our zipper. You know, the other side is attached to the shield. So this remaining side, that is this side which is not sewn to anywhere, I'm going to be sewing it together with the fly. I hope you understand. At first we sew the zipper to the shield, so the other side is attached to the shield. Now we also want it to be attached to the fly, so I'm just going to hold it together like this. That is the fly and the zipper. If you want, you can pin it down. If you don't want, you can sew it right away, but for me, I'm going to be pinning it down so that you can understand what I'm trying to do. Okay, so after pinning it down, I'm just going to sew down together like this, slowly removing my pins and making sure that there's nothing in the way behind. Just push all your seam allowance aside and just sew only the zipper and the fly. Okay, so after doing that, this is what we have. This is what it looks like. So coming over to the right side, we can now remove our pins. After removing our pins, this is what it looks like, and this is what the inside also looks like. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to draw a curve along this side to get the right side of our trouser. And to do that, I'm going to be measuring 1.5 inch for the curve. So from this crotch line here, where this space is, I'm going to be marking 1.5 inch outwards. So I'm going to be drawing the curve to meet the end of our flap, like this, just following the shape of our fly. So what I'm going to do, just watch carefully how I'm going to be sewing this, because I'm not going to be sewing everything together at once. So first of all, my zip is locked. I'm going to just sew it as it's locked all the way to around this point here. Okay, so that's about, let's say, that's about 2 inches, or let's say 1.5 inch along the curve. And while closing up your fly, make sure that this point here is overlapping the other points, so that no stitches will be visible, you get. So just do this and then sew. So make sure that while sewing along this way, be careful because your zip is kind of hard, so that you won't have your needle cut off. So just do it carefully. Okay, so you can see what I did. I stopped along this 1.5 point there. Now the next thing, I'm going to open up this zip and I'm going to be sewing just this fly and my fabric together to get the curve, you get. Because if you sew it while your zip is closed and sew it alongside with your shield, you're not going to have any opening by the time you zip down your trouser, and you won't be able to put it on. So you're going to separate it like this, and you're going to sew. You're going to sew it together to meet that curve which you started. Now this is what my zipper fly looks like. When you zip it down, I still have an opening. Okay, so now after doing this, the next thing we're going to work on the darts. And I'm so sorry guys, my baby tore my pattern, so I'm just going to figure out where the darts was supposed to be. But if you still have your pattern with you, please just place it aligning this pocket side and then mark your dart. You can just notch it, or you can just notch it from the beginning before you start sewing. So I'm just going to figure out where my dart was supposed to be. So after I figured out, I'll just measure what I have here and transfer it to the other side, because we're having darts for both sides of the front pieces. So here I have 3.1 inch. I'm going to do the same thing, measuring from this pocket area. Or better still, you can do your nipple to nipple divided by 8 minus 1 to get your darts, your bust pan, which you will mark along this point. So for the length of the dart, it's for the front, it's 4 inches. And you remember that we took away 1.5 inch for band, and you know that there's half inch up here for joining to the band. So altogether I'm going to be marking 4.5. So taking away this 1.5 here, just fold it along this point you have marked, take away your 1.5 inch, and then mark 4.5 here. And for the sides, I'm going to be marking half inch on both sides. So from that half inch, I'll draw a slant to meet that 4.5 point we have marked there. I'm going to basically do the same thing for the other side as well. Fold this line here and mark 4.5 inches, leaving my 1.5 point up there. Okay, so I did that on the wrong side of our trouser piece. So after sewing, this is what the darts looks like. Okay, so the next thing now, we're going to work on the pockets and the side pockets. And to do that, this is my pot pockets. I'm just going to locate the back side. This is the wrong side of my pockets. So I'll place one aside and show you how to work on it. First off, I'm going to align these sides. These sides that are curved, I'm going to align right sides facing right sides like this. And then I'm going to sew down with 1/2 inch, aligning the waist and the sides as well. But I'm just going to be sewing along this curved area. After I'm done doing that, okay, at this point you can decide to push it backwards like this and top stitch. But for me, I'm not going to top stitching. I'll just go and iron it down because I don't want any seams showing by the side. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to push my trouser backwards like this, and I'm going to fold it like this. So by the time you fold it, this side here replaces the side of my trouser piece, and this is what it will look like. You can see it's already giving shape. So we're just going to sew down everything to stay in place. So to sew down the pocket, what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to turn this over to the wrong side. This is the wrong side of the pocket, and I'm going to be sewing. I'll cover it like this. That is, I'm on the right side right now. This is the right side of my pocket on the outside. So I'm going to be stitching it down from this side down to meet this opening here. So what I'm basically trying to do, I'm trying to close up the edges so that it looks clean on the inside. So after stitching down, this is what I have. I'm going to be turning it back, having the back side on the outside. Hope you understand. So after turning it, you can see I don't have any raw edges poking out on the inside. I'm just going to top stitch this so that by the time you put your hands inside, you're not feeling any raw edges. After top stitching, this is what it looks like. So I'm just going to push this over. You can just go and press it down, and this is what it looks like. So next thing, I'm just going to be sewing down this size, that is the pocket and the trouser piece. I'll be sewing it down together to secure it in place. Make sure everything is laying down flat, and then I'm going to also secure this waist area. I'm going to sew it down as well. So after doing that, this is what it looks like. This is my pockets, and on the wrong side, this is what it also looks like. You can see. So basically I'm just going to do the same thing for the other side as well. So after sewing down, this is what both sides of my pocket look like. This is one side and also this is the other side. And now that is it for the front piece. We'll go over and work on the back piece. For the back piece, I went ahead to place my fabric right sides facing each other, and I'll sew along this curve like so. And then I'll be inserting my dart, and to do that I'll just mark my bust span along this side just like we did for the front, and I'll be sewing down 1/2 inch on both sides. And remember to take out 1.5 inch for band as well. The length of the dart I'm using for the back is 5 inch, and remember that we added 1/2 inch on the waist, so altogether the length should be 5.5 inches. So if you take away that 1.5 inch at the top for band, you can just mark down 5.5 inch right here. So that is basically it for the back piece. After that, the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to bring over my front piece and place it on top of the back piece, right sides facing each other. And then I'm going to be aligning this crotch together. Okay, so this line here, I'm going to be aligning them together, and I'm going to be sewing from this crotch all down to one side of the hem, and also from the crotch all down to the other side of the hem. So you can pin this down if you want to, but for me I'm just going to be sewing it straight away. So you can sew with 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch, 1 inch, depends on whatever you feel fit, or you can just sew with 1/2 inch, try it on, then continue like that. Okay, so after sewing, this is what we have. As you can see, this is what it looks like. So now we're going to work on the sides of our trouser pieces, and to do that I'm going to measure what I have on both of my waists, making sure that this zip is zipped up. So I'm just going to measure what I have on my front. I have 18 inches. I also measure what I have at the back. I also have 18 inches for the back. So in total I have 36 inches. So I'm just going to subtract my waist measurement from that 36 inches. So my waist measurement is 32. That is 36 minus 32 gives 4 inches. So I'm going to divide that 4 inches for these 4 sides of my trouser pieces. So 4 divided by 4 gives 1. So that means I'm going to be sewing the size of my trouser with 1 inch. So let's go ahead and sew that down. When you get to this pocket area, make sure to arrange it properly so that you will not have any squeeze on the outside of your fabric of your trouser. Make sure to arrange it properly, making sure it's laying down flat. So after I'm done, this is what my trouser looks like. You can see I went ahead to finish up the inside because you know we're all for the professional finishing. So right now we're going to fix the band, and to do that I'm just going to open up my zip and make sure that all my waist is leveled. So I'm just going to be cutting off this excess we have for the zipper fly. We're going to cut that off to be the same length with the waist. So after doing that, now the next thing, we're going to bring over our cut waistband, and we're going to be fixing it on this inner zipper fly. To know how long you're going to cut this waistband, you first of all measure all around your waist, that is from the flap all around the waist. For me, I like to cut long strips, then I sew along my waistline, and whatever is left I cut it off. So now just watch carefully how I'm going to place this. I'm going to open up this waistband. You know that we folded one side and this other side right here is not folded. So this side that is not folded, I'm going to be aligning it on the inner fly of my waist. I'm basically placing the right side of my band to the wrong side of my trouser. So I'm going to just place it like this, leaving about ½ inches outwards like this, because I'll be sewing that down. And you can go ahead and pin this down all round, but for me I'm just going to sew it straight away. After sewing that, this is what it looks like. You can see how nice this is. I also went ahead and left 2 inches here, which I'll be using to overlap this waistband. To finish this up nicely, I'm just going to fold along this side and I'll be aligning this waist, and then I'm going to sew along that ½ inch which we extended right here. I'll go ahead to turn it inside out and you can see our waistband is already taking shape. Now coming over to this other side, which we have this 2-inch extension for our overlap, I'll be folding it just the same way. I'm going to fold this part here with ½ inch and then I'll sew down together with ½ inch. After that, we'll also turn it to the right side, and the next thing now we're going to be sewing down this waistband, and to do that I'll just go ahead and arrange the waistband, pushing everything over to the right side of my trouser, making sure that everything lays down nicely. And then I'm going to take this over to my machine. I'm going to be top stitching along this folded point. After I'm done doing that, this is what I have. This is what the waistband looks like. You can see the overlap we have right here. At this point, everything just looks so perfect. Now to finalize the sewing of this trouser, we're going to be working on the hemline of this trouser. And to do that, I'm going to just basically fold right here with ½ inch and then fold again with 1 inch. You can go ahead and iron this down nicely. You can even put your hemming gum to make it stay in place so it's easy for you to sew round. So I've gone ahead to iron mine, so I'm just basically folding it along the iron parts and then I'll sew this together. And now we have our neatly hemmed trouser piece. So I'll just go ahead and show you the final look. So this is the final outcome of our trouser. You can see it fits perfectly. If you have any questions, if you have any suggestions, please you can leave it down in the comment section and I'll do well to answer you. So make sure to try yours and send me a picture of what you have made on my Instagram page at Sets Fashion, and I'll see you in my next tutorial. Bye.